Welcome into Southeast Ohio, where we have some exciting field hockey match on tap in Athens, Ohio, between the UC-Davis Aggies coming out of the American East Conference, taking on the Ohio Bobcats out of the Mid-American Conference. Welcome into Athens, Ohio. This is Brad Walker, and alongside me is Logan Leduc. And Logan, the UC-Davis Aggies, they're on around a month-long road trip, coming in off a tough loss to Maine. They come in against the Bobcats, who are coming off an impressive conference win against the App State Mountaineers.
Yeah, it's a team that's certainly road weary, as they like to say. And I mean, in any sport, that's pretty difficult to keep your composure and keep going. But this is a team, solid start to their season overall, 4-5. And when you look at the Aggies, it's also a squad that was just 1-17 last year. So they have a lot. They've already improved the record from last season, and they certainly like to make a statement tonight and show they're better than their record shows.
And I think something that is a big storyline today is the youth of this UC-Davis field hockey program. Only came to existence 9 years ago, became a sport at UC-Davis, whereas you flip things in Athens, the Bobcats, they've had a field hockey team for the past 53 years and have had some history. Unfortunately, have not won the MAC since 2011. This is a non-conference match, so that won't go towards it, but that has to play into some effect heading into this game today.
Yeah, it's been certainly kind of some dark years the last couple of seasons for Ohio field hockey. A lot of losing seasons as of late. And actually, you talked about the youth of the UC-Davis Aggies. Ohio pretty young in their own right. Obviously, you have the leaders, the seniors like Emma Eggleston, but then you look at players like the plethora of sophomores that this team has. You can look at, let's look at Jillian Shive, the lone sophomore who had the lone goal. Excuse me, not the lone sophomore, the sophomore who had the lone goal in the Bobcats' last win. There's a lot of youth on this team, much like UC-Davis, and I think that's what Ohio is still developing. They know it's a process. They need to develop that leadership first.
And something also to key is the youth of the coaches for both sides. For UC-Davis, Britt Brody, only in her second season, or for the Ohio Bobcats, Allie Johnston, her first year at the helm of the Ohio Bobcats field hockey team.
Yeah, we've got to talk to Coach Allie Johnstone, and she's very confident. She's gotten these girls to try to almost buy into what she's selling. She does a great job of that. She's really excited to be back in Athens, right here at her alma mater. She's also obviously is in the Hall of Fame as well, and I think she's trying to get this program back to new heights. You mentioned how it's a new era for Ohio field hockey, and we hope to see that come to fruition.
Exactly, and she said before last game she wanted the girls to play a little more physical, and they did, hence the grind-out win against App State, 1-0. Johnstone, you mentioned in the Hall of Fame, she is the career leader in assists for Ohio field hockey, also an All-American, also was on that MAC championship team as an assistant coach, so she knows what it takes to be successful in Southeast Ohio. So that'll just about wrap up our pregame show on Bobcat TV. We'll step aside for just a few short minutes, and when we come back, we'll have some excellent non-conference field hockey action between the 4-5 UC-Davis Aggies and the 2-4 Ohio Bobcats from Athens. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the broadcast of some non-conference field hockey action on Bobcat TV between the UC-Davis Aggies and the Ohio Bobcats to run through both teams' records once again. The Aggies are 4-5, have yet to play a conference game so far in the season, and the Bobcats of Ohio are 2-4 and 1-0, coming off a win in their last game against App State. For the Aggies, they unfortunately took the loss to Maine in their last contest at a neutral site, 7-1. Something to take note about neutral sites for this Aggie team is they have played 4 out of their 9 games so far at neutral locations. They are 2-2 when doing so. On the road, the Aggies are 0-2, where the Bobcats are so far 2-1 at home, with that last game coming at home as well. This is only the second time that both teams have met with each other. Last time it did indeed happen here at Pruitt Field in Athens, Ohio, where the Aggies were victors over the Bobcats 3-0 back in 2016. So much like we alluded to in the pregame, Logan, the youth of this UC-Davis program against sort of the elderliness of the Ohio Bobcat field hockey program. 53 years for the Cats, only 9 years so far for the Aggies, but so far has been on the upside. Mentioned that 4-5 record coming off a 1-17 season last year. To run through the starters for both teams, for the Aggies, it's sophomore from Saratoga, California, Emily Chen. Freshman out of Louisville, Kentucky, Isabella Porco. And sophomore out of Auckland, New Zealand, Nicola Preble. Followed up by redshirt junior Kelly Kramer from Oceanside, California. Madison Theodore, the sophomore out of Carlsbad, California, getting the nod. And junior Lauren Gingerella out of San Jose, California. Alina Vondenbosch out of Sneek, Netherlands, the freshman. And Brooke Sanchez, the freshman from Escondido, California. Also freshman Milau Korthauer from Hoofddorp, Netherlands. A little bit of international twist on things today. Nika Tinglieri from Huntington Beach, California, the redshirt senior. And then at goalie, Chelsea Bigelow from San Diego, California. For the Bobcats, it's senior Emma Eggleston, sophomore Clara Buckley, sophomore Emma Spinetto, freshman Ashley Wilbur, senior Alex Pennington gets the start at goalie, junior Brittany Keene, Emmy Edgerton from Louisville, Kentucky, the junior, Anne-Marie Hoppel, Jillian Shive, Carrie-Ann Baker, and Leah Warren round out the starters for the Bobcats. We're underway from Pruitt Field. The Bobcats starting out with possession, working right to left along the right sideline. As they move up, we mentioned the Bobcats are 2-4, and if they look to score, it's going to be pretty tough as they're going up against one of the best goalies in the America East Conference, Chelsea Bigelow, and one of the best in the UC-Davis program so far. She is second all-time in saves, and last year she set the season record with 148 saves in a season. She's looking to have quite the season this year as well, as the Bobcats on offense getting taken away by the Aggies. In possession, Madison Theodore, mentioned the sophomore out of Carlsbad, California. This is her 6th start of the season.
And for Ohio, one of the keys tonight, they tend to get off to pretty good starts. Obviously, you can look back at the Monmouth game where they got ahead 2-0 before falling 3-2. But it's going to be about sustaining that as we get a steal here.
And a steal here, and on the run, a shot is good through the net. The Bobcats take an early 1-0 lead with 33:47 to go in the first half. Jillian Shive with her 4th goal of the season. She leads the team in that category. The sophomore, what a shot there from Jillian Shive, and the Bobcats looking pretty good, getting that ball right back on offense and scoring.
Not to mention the shot of Shive, but also the defense, able to stay right there in the pocket between the two players of Aggies, able to split the defense and then put it in through the net. As
Brittany Keene, she gets the steal on a run, tries to pass it ahead to her teammate, taken away for the Aggies. They are back in possession. The Aggies working left to right in this first half as we have just under 33 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Coming down the field is Alina Vondenbosch.
Waiting for someone to finally stop her.
The freshman, as she throws it out to the right. That is Emily Chen, the sophomore from Saratoga, California. Just to note on Chen, she's played more than 40 minutes and started the last 4 games, so now last 5, as she finished last year co-leading the Aggies in points and goals, as she had 7 points and 3 goals. So the Aggies currently on the attack. Trying to split the defense is Elena Vondenbosch. We mentioned the freshman who has started every game except for 1 for this UC-Davis squad, as she leads the team in points with 8. So the Bobcats back with possession as it is stolen away by Emily Chen. She makes her way down near the circle and takes it out, tries to throw it wide, but this one will roll out of bounds and stay back in possession for the UC-Davis Aggies. The Bobcats coming out and scoring early 1-0 thanks to a goal for the Bobcats, so they are up 1-0 on the UC-Davis Aggies. The Aggies pass it back behind the midfield line and now back into the attack in the middle of the field. As they try to roll it out to the left side, the pass is not completed, and Ohio will take back over possession.
It's good to see Ohio really moving early on the defensive side, really aware of where that ball is and rotating well. And now on the offensive side, just have to get back to moving that ball a little better, a little more crossing action.
So deep pass goes out of bounds, but off the Aggies, so the Bobcats will stay in possession as they move their way inside UC-Davis territory. With possession is the junior Brittany Keene out of Perth, Western Australia. She throws it over to Emma Spinetto. Spinetto throws it inside the circle, but there will be an infraction called, so UC-Davis will regain possession. It's the Bobcats 1, UC-Davis 0 with 31:30 to go in the first half. Bobcats coming off a win against App State. UC-Davis coming off a loss against Maine. The Aggies back in possession. A high pass along the sidelines. Gets past midfield. Regaining it for the Aggies is Nika Taglieri, who had an assist in the first 2 games of the season, but has yet to have one since, as she last year co-led the team in points and tied for second in goals. Just the 9th season for the UC-Davis Aggies as a field hockey program. Really improved off last year's 1-17 finish. So far 4-5 on the year. This one rolls out of bounds, and the Bobcats will regain possession. Throwing it in for Ohio is Emma Spinetto, the sophomore out of Louisville, Kentucky, who started all 16 matches last year for the Bobcats and also has started every match so far this season. She makes her way in the middle of the field. A nice pass to Claire Bucky. Bucky's shot is deflected out of the circle, but the Bobcats re-grab possession. Stolen away. There is an infraction penalty.
We got a corner coming up. We got a corner coming up because the penalty took place inside that circle. But I tell you what, Ohio, I like that they're always on the attack early in this game. They've certainly been on the offense and putting the UC-Davis girls on their heels so far in this game, and that's something we haven't seen much of this season, Ohio being the enforcer on offense.
Exactly. Ohio only 8 goals coming into this one, now with 9, as they look to possibly get another one with this corner. Again, goals are only allowed to be scored within the circle unless you shoot it outside and it deflects off a certain player into the goal. This goal is in, retrieved. The shot just misses wide right of the net. The Bobcats trying to get an infraction penalty. On the shot was Brittany Keene, who had the lone goal of the season for herself and the lone goal for the Bobcats against Stanford on September 6th, as that was her 10th shot taken this season. So the Bobcats getting back with possession. Starting with it is the sophomore defenseman Leah Warren. Bobcats working their way within the circle, get it taken away, and the Aggies now back on the one, but quickly taken away by Eggleston. We'll see the whistle, and the Aggies regain possession. Bobcats so far this game taking 3 shots, 2 of which have been on goal, as Eggleston retrieves it for Ohio. And keeping with it for the Bobcats is Anne-Marie Hoppel out of Fredericksburg, Virginia, as she too she has played in every single match this season except for the game against Stanford. Bobcats working with it along the right sideline.
Ohio really scrambling well early.
28:30 to go in the first half. Bobcats leading the UC-Davis Aggies 1-0. So an infraction yet again called, and the Aggies will regain possession. So to note about Allie Johnstone, the new head coach for the Bobcats, we mentioned she is the career leader in assist for Ohio. She is also in the Ohio University Athletics Hall of Fame. Pretty impressive to get a name like Johnstone Johnstone back within this Bobcat field hockey program.
And she has plenty of experience. And when you talk with her, she was so excited to not only come back to OU, but to bring the insight that she's learned elsewhere, to learn new tricks of the trade, if you might. And she's really brought a good attitude now back to OU. I think these girls have really been excited to play for her, knowing her name and her stature in Ohio's history as a field hockey program. So she's done a great job so far.
53rd year that we've had field hockey here in Athens, and beautiful day, we should add to that. Temperatures rising in the 80s as the sun glistens over the trees in the Hocking River. So the Aggies in possession with it back in their defensive side as they try to go back on the run. And I tell you what, the Bobcats, they've almost been on the attack mode since this game started.
Yeah, no, we've been on the offensive side constantly. I don't remember the last time I saw a blue shirt down on the right side of the field.
So the Bobcats really trying to extend this lead. Only 1-0 currently with 27 minutes to go in the half as this one rolls out of bounds back in possession for Ohio. So the Bobcats in their past 3 games are just 1-2, but they've played some pretty tough opponents in 2 of those games in top 25 teams in Liberty and Stanford before they took the win in their last game against Appalachian State, the Mountaineers, who are in the MAC for field hockey. As now UC-Davis trying to make a run of their own, but stolen right back away for Ohio as they get back on the offensive side of things. Making the run right in the middle of the field. That is defenseman Leah Warren. She gives a pass inside the circle. As we see another infraction called, it's going to be another corner for Ohio. Unfortunately, they not get a goal on the last corner, but another great opportunity for the Bobcats. Bobcats taking this corner from the left side of the netting. As they are moving right to left. Hopple beginning with the corner for Ohio. With just 25 minutes and 49 seconds ticking in this first half. Hopple passing it in. Bobcats set play. Warren, her shot is blocked off by 3 Aggie defenders as they try to clear it out, but the Bobcats will try to steal it right back, and they force another corner. That is the 3rd of the day for Ohio.
If you're the Bobcats, that's fine. You're getting plenty of shots on goal, plenty of opportunities. All it's going to take is the big body of the goalie there in there for the Aggies to finally get out of the way, but they have done a great job attacking the goal, attacking different areas, but she's also done a great job deflecting many away.
You mentioned Bigelow, the goalie for the Aggies, and her first start was last year, and then in that start she got her career high, which in 15 saves, which is also 3rd in school history for a single game. This one tapped back out for the Aggies as they make their way back on the offensive possession along the right sideline, moving it up in the hands of forward Shannon Wong. She goes just outside of the circle before it's taken away for Ohio. Moving it up the field is Amy Edgerton, the junior out of Louisville, Kentucky, who back in high school in 2014 led her team to a state runner-up finish as the Aggies take back over position across the midfield line. 24 minutes, 20 seconds to go in the first half with the Bobcats leading the UC-Davis Aggies 1-0. And that was the final score of the last game for Ohio against Appalachian State. So now the Bobcats have scored in 4 out of their 7 matches and 9 total on the season. So working it in are the Aggies. They get this one near the net. The shot is blocked away. An excellent block by the senior goalkeeper, Alex Pennington, out of Easton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the Aggies starting to find seams in that Ohio defense, attacking the right side of the field and working from there.
Pennington came into this game with 9 saves so far on the season. She has a record of 1-1 as a goalie so far this season. A penalty call, and the Bobcats, they will take back over possession. Emma Spinetto in control of it. She throws it ahead. This one retrieved by Corinne Baker. Baker on the left side near the corner, trying to work it out. Baker has 3 goals on the season. Now 2nd, came into this game tied for 1st. But Eggleston, she tries to throw it with inside the circle. Shot is blocked away, but the Bobcats still have it. Eggleston shot just high and misses and will fly out of bounds, and the Aggies will take back over.
Yeah, a little chip shot trying to go to that top left shelf there by Emma Eggleston. Got to like the English, put it on there, trying to put one through and get one just by Bigelow, a whole different way of getting that through.
Emma Eggleston, the senior out of Houston, Texas, doing a great job of leading the Bobcats so far this season, as she was second team All-MAC just a year ago. So far in the season, she does have a goal and an assist, so a total of 3 points as the Aggies are back in control.
Yeah, you could certainly call Emma Eggleston the leader of this team right now.
So the Aggies working back into Bobcat territory on the left side. They do get it stolen away, as the Bobcats had control, but a penalty called, so the Aggies back in control. I mentioned the last 2 times these teams played each other was back in 2016, where the Aggies got the victory 3-0, as it was played here at Pruitt Field in Athens, and actually UC-Davis, that is where their next contest will be, as they play Central Michigan tomorrow. And then the Bobcats will actually be taking on the Chippewas on Sunday.
Yeah, it's been a rough season for Central Michigan so far. Just the 1 win. Obviously, we'll get into plenty of that as the Sunday game rolls on, but good chance for the Bobcats to try to get 2 wins, get back to 500 this weekend.
So the Bobcats trying to get it back out of their own circle, and they do a good job of doing that. Retrieved by Isabella Porco of the Aggies, but a penalty called, so the Bobcats back in possession. And the Bobcats, in the past 20 years, have only had 2 losing seasons. Unfortunately, 6 of those have happened in a row, but trying to change that mantra this season, currently sitting at 2-4. But as we enter into conference play, they have an excellent job of bringing back up that record and possibly to 500 and even higher, as they were picked to finish lower in the MAC this season. The last MAC title coming in Athens was back in 2011. As the Bobcats, they're back on the move. In possession is Brittany Keene. She goes inside the circle, tries to toss it off to her teammate Taylor Hansen, but it is stolen away by UC-Davis.
Keene has done a great job doing a lot of the ball handling duties, if you will, for Ohio, really getting into that striking zone and then trying to get that crossover. She's just maybe a second or 2 late from making that move and punching it in.
Keene, only 1 goal on the season, does not have an assist to add to her name, but out of 9 shots she has taken so far in the year heading into this game, 6 have been on goal. So the Aggies now pushing it, taking away, but penalty called, so back in possession for the Aggies. They make their way just outside of the circle. Shot by 16, Elena Vondenbosch, is stopped by Ohio, so they will be back in control with 20 minutes to go in this first half. Ohio leading UC-Davis 1-0. UC-Davis at the helm is head coach Britt Brody, just her 2nd season in control of this Aggie team, as the Bobcats roll this one out of bounds on the right side. So the Aggies trying to stop a 2-game losing skid, as they've been about a month on the road, and that's going to take a tear no matter what kind of team you have, a older veteran team or a younger and not necessarily inexperienced but young squad. And
certainly some rough losses, to say the least, when you look at those games against Vermont and against Maine. A 3-1 loss, a 7-1 loss. You know, the Bobcats have had a couple of those losses as well. When you look back at it, you can look at, of course, the game against Stanford, an 8-1 loss there, or Liberty, who got blanked 7-0. It's been a rough go of things so far for these teams, but they've also showed signs, and now they're trying to put together.
Exactly, and you mentioned signs. They've played a tough schedule. Stanford, Liberty, both being ranked within the top 25, and then Monmouth, a team that has won their conference a plethora of times throughout the years. They took them all the way down to the wire, in fact, into overtime before unfortunately dropping 3-2. So a lot of promise has been shown so far out of Southeast Ohio by this Bobcat field hockey team, as they're set up for another corner, trying to increase this 1-0 lead with 18:30 to go in the first half.
I'm a big fan of this battle music being played on every corner. Certainly adds to the moment.
Really gets the team going, and hopefully they can do something with it. So the Bobcats set up for this corner. Shot into Eggleston. Passes it over. The fake shot and then in is deflected. Back out for the Bobcats. They try to keep possession, but the Aggies will control it.
Oh, that's an excellent play by Ohio, though. Faking it to Brittany Keene. She waves at it, leaving it for another shot, but didn't come into fruition there.
This one, a laser pass. Nika Taglieri tries to hustle it down, but unfortunately can't get it in. The Bobcats will control the ball once again on the pitch. We mentioned working right to left in this half. The Aggies going to work left to right on the offensive side of things. So the Bobcats controlling this one just across the middle of midfield. Pass upfield. This one attempted to go to Jillian Shive, but running it down was Corinne Baker. Excellent hustle out of the junior from Falls Church, Virginia. She unfortunately couldn't catch up to that one as this one rolls out. Baker, so far this season, does have one multi-goal match. Came on August 31st against St. Louis, where the Bobcats were victorious 4-1. She's also had an assist out of the past 2 of 4 matches, so a real focal point in this Ohio attack. 17 minutes to go in the first half. The Bobcats leading the Aggies 1-0. This one up ahead. That one intended for the freshman Brooke Sanchez as she lays out. Can't quite haul it in, and the Bobcats, they'll be in control of it. This one a high pass in for Ohio. Retrieved and pushing it up. And the shot inside the circle, just outside. Baker on the pass. Unfortunately, looks like Spinetto was the one that was unable to try to haul it in, and the Aggies will be back on the offensive side of things. Bobcats coming out really aggressive in this game, Logan. And we mentioned the physicality that they tried to bring to the table last game, which did work. So now maybe working on another key of interest, and that be on the aggressive side of things, especially as we move in closer to MAC play.
And it might just not be that aggressiveness, but I think also the focus is much better so far for Ohio. Really caring about each possession, caring about each hit of the ball. I think they've done a great job of that in this game.
And interesting that the senior goalie Alex Pennington gets the start, her only 3rd start of the season, 4th game she has played in, as she's tallied up 140 minutes before this game, as she has appeared in the last 3 games, now 4, and has started in the past 3 as well. Against App State, she had 4 saves. So far on the game, just 1, as this Bobcat offense doing a great job of controlling it on their half of the field. With 15 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the first half, Bobcats with a 1-0 lead over the UC-Davis Aggies. The Aggies making the long trip all the way from California, going to be in Athens for the next game as well, taking on Central Michigan, we alluded to earlier. As in control of it is Amy Edgerton, the junior defenseman out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Boy, and Vandenbosch really took a shot there from the stick. A high sticking ball, gives it back to UC-Davis, but she's limping a little bit. She goes up the field, and she's really been a focal point in that Aggies attack so far in this game.
As Vandenbosch, who was on the National Dutch U16 team, as she's out of the Netherlands, as this one rolls out of bounds. And something also to note out about the junior defenseman, Amy Egerton, has a sister who plays volleyball at Southern Illinois. So a real athletic family. And I tell you what, anytime you have another athlete within the family, things I would imagine are going to get pretty competitive within that household.
Most definitely. They probably try to one-up each other in each other's sports, honestly.
I would imagine so. So the Aggies now on the offensive side of things on their half of the pitch. Bringing in the pass upwards to Emily Chen is well ride and will roll out of bounds. So the Bobcats will take back over with 13 minutes and 58 seconds to go in the first half.
Yeah, the Aggies have a much different plan of attack, a lot of long passes, and Ohio's done a pretty good job of just getting right in front of it and intercepting it. But Ohio more of the short back and forth as they work their way up the field, and that seems to have been worked a lot better.
Playing much as a team, trying to build up that team chemistry with a bit of a young core. But if you want to talk about a young core, this UC-Davis team, 9 freshmen, only 7 returning starters from last year and 3 seniors. They have 17 underclassmen out of a roster of 24. As the Bobcats now in control of it just across the midfield line. This pass in taken away by the Aggies. They'll try to toss it upfield, but the Bobcats interact with that. Is this one a laser roll, but picked up by a defenseman for Ohio. Defenseman, rather midfielder, Ashley Wilbur grabs that one, the freshman from Louisville, Kentucky, who was a two-time state champ back in high school in 2014 and 2016. She does have an assist so far on the year as the Aggies are back in control. This one excellently taken away by Leah Warren.
And even more impressive, Ashley Wilbur has started in all 6 games played so far this season. Just a freshman has really stepped up in a role that she might have not been expecting beginning of the season.
Warren trying to take this in as it's stolen away, but an infraction called. So the Bobcats will take this one over just outside the circle and are in prime position yet again to possibly get another score. Eggleston, the shot outside the circle is deflected away. She does retrieve it back on the left side, tries to pass it in. A high pass does hit the body of a Bobcat, so the Aggies will grab control of it.
Another high sticking call there. Emma Eggleston really brings that thing back when she's swinging through, and just happened to be an Aggie a little bit too close in that area.
And Eggleston, as we've been on the topic right now of underclassmen, she said that the underclassmen for this Ohio field hockey team has been doing a great job all season long, stepping up into big roles. Fortunately, the record only 2-4 right now for Ohio, but coming off a win, trying to make it 2 in a row as they have a 1-0 lead with 11:30 to go in the first half. Bringing it up the field is Hopple, the sophomore out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. Hopple 5 shots on the season, 3 of which are on goal. Does have 2 assists. Stolen away by Emily Chen out of Saratoga, Florida. And coming up for the Aggies, the defenseman Sarah Janetsky, the redshirt sophomore. She had a redshirt last year due to an injury, but back in 2016, started all 18 games and was named America East All-Rookie Team. So a lot of promise, and unfortunately not being able to play last year, but excited to be back out there for the Aggies. The Aggies looking for their first win on the road today as they're 0-2 in that category. 2-1 at home, and then on neutral sites are 2-2. So Ohio back in control of it, pushing it up the field. Gets it stolen away by Nicola Preble. Preble trying to work around a couple of Bobcat defenders as she passes it back to a defenseman. Throws it upfield as we are just going on the 10-minute mark here in the first half of the Bobcats over the Aggies, 1-0. In control for UC-Davis is Elena Vondenbosch. Bosch with 3 goals on the season, works her way inside the circle as this one is pushed out of bounds. And the Bobcats will regain control. This one rolled up the field. Fortunately, unable to corral it was Corinne Baker. So if you want to talk about an athletic team, much like we did earlier, the Bakers are going to be your team to look at. Her father played football at Eastern Michigan. Her mother ran cross country for the Indiana University of Pennsylvania. As the Bobcats on the attack, a shot deflected away. So the Aggies back in control. Her sister currently plays field hockey at Mary Washington, and her brother plays ice hockey at George Mason. So you can't even imagine to begin what is going on within that household. Just a whole lot of athletes going on.
You know, we don't have that problem in my household, that's for sure. That's why I'm stuck here in the booth calling the action.
Well, you know, some of us aren't all blessed
all
with
gifted,
wonderful
right? Yes.
athletic talent. But Baker, she most certainly is that junior that brings that upperclassman leadership and talent to the pitch, as she has on her career on the season 8 goals and 5 assists.
And there's that physicality right there that Allie Johnstone was talking about. She'll take that penalty.
As this shot is taken outside the circle, the goalkeeper, Alex Pennington, lets it roll out of bounds, and the Bobcats will take back over. We mentioned it's kind of been split so far this season at goalkeeper. Redshirt junior Sophia Boothby has gotten some starts as well. So would not be surprised if we saw a change in that position, but so far it's been Pennington at the helm for Ohio.
Well, I'm sure Coach Ellie Johnstone is still trying to work around some lineups, see what works. Obviously, it isn't a very long season, Ohio field hockey, but 6 games in, I'm sure she's still reworking, retooling, and seeing what she wants to officially put out there and call her lineup.
And the good thing is for both Bobcat goalies is both upperclassmen, both knows what it takes to stop the opposing defense.
And there's another deflection there by the goalie Bigelow.
Bigelow just an excellent job back there. She is trying to make her way as the career saves leader at UC-Davis. A shot by Shive is grabbed by Brittany Keene, who throws it back out just outside the circle. Warren making her way in the right side, tries to maneuver her way around a couple of Aggies defenders, but they stop her, and they'll roll this one out of bounds, and it'll actually be an infraction penalty on Ohio, so the Aggies will be back in control. Bigelow already 2 saves so far today. So on the season, that gives Bigelow 56 saves. As she came into this game, just 52 saves behind the saves leader for UC-Davis in a career. Mentioned 3, so now that total all the way down to 49. So the Aggies will definitely be excited to have her back, just a junior. Baker throws this one in, but the shot is deflected away from Bigelow. An excellent save, but Baker grabs it again just inside the left side of the circle. She rolls it in, trying to shoot and score is Taylor Hansen, but she'll be called for high sticking, and the Aggies will get it back.
Tell you what, that full field defense that Ohio has right now, paying dividends, giving them plenty of opportunities, and UC-Davis still trying to figure out a way to weave through it.
Amy Edgerton, she pushes it up for Ohio. And the white jerseys of Ohio getting stopped by the blue of UC-Davis, as it was Brittany Keene who just caused the infraction, but the Bobcats will be back on the move. Coming inside the circle, the shot by Shive is stopped by the goalie Bigelow.
You can see a lot of tired legs out there right now for both teams. Obviously that sun is just beating down, and any chance they get to kind of walk around a little bit, they're certainly savoring it. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Just 6 minutes, of course, until they can get their break.
6 minutes. Bobcats 1, UC-Davis 0. As we see a lot of substitutions, a lot of rotations, very important for both coaches to keep their women nice and hydrated. As my partners mentioned, a real hot day in Athens. That sun is definitely beating down an afternoon game as we had just approached the 4:30 mark, as the Aggies now trying to make a bit of a run themselves. This one thrown in. Retrieving it is 22, Brooks Sanchez. Some contact, but a nice defensive stop yet again for Ohio, so the score will stay at 1-0.
And Pennington was also the last line of defense there. Obviously, the defense is doing just fine, locking up Sanchez, but good job by Pennington to put an extra body there and really cut off any angle for Sanchez to get a shot off.
So bringing it up for Ohio is the freshman midfielder Ashley Wilbur, but it's taken away by UC-Davis as they maneuver their way down the middle of the field. In control of Nicola Preble. She splits some Bobcat defenders. This shot just outside of the circle is deflected and will stay on the UC-Davis side of things with 4 minutes, 40 seconds to go in the first half.
Impressive move there by Preble, a little in and out dribble, if you will. Set herself up nicely.
Preble yet to have a goal so far in the season, does have an assist, as making her way inside the circle is Vandenbosch, but an infraction called, and the Bobcats will take back over.
Tell you what, Vandenbosch just go, go, go. As soon as she has that ball in her possession, she makes a move pretty quickly.
And you mentioned Preble, she's doing a nice job, was actually on the America East Conference All-Championship team last year, so a nice postseason for Preble. As this one flies out of bounds for Ohio, and UC-Davis, they'll try to get their first goal on the board as they are trailing 1-0 with 3:58 to go in the first half. 2 35-minute halves in field hockey. Mentioned this is a non-conference game. UC-Davis coming out of the America East Conference, and Ohio out of the Mid-American Conference. UC-Davis yet to play in conference. The Bobcats with just one game, but that was a victory for Ohio as they are 1-0 within conference and 2-4 overall. The Aggies 4-5. The Aggies in control of it just outside the circle on the left side. This pass goes cross field and out of play. So Ohio back in containment.
Well, if you're Ohio, you don't need another goal right now, but definitely need to hold off UC-Davis before going into this halftime in 3 minutes, 15 seconds, because UC-Davis is really starting to show something and getting a little offense cooking.
UC-Davis, we mentioned 17 underclassmen in a roster of 24, trying to make it 2-0 all-time against Ohio. Mentioned back in 2016, this Aggie squad did defeat the Bobcats here at Pruitt Field 3-0. Currently, Ohio with the advantage 1-0 with 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the first. In control for the Aggies is Audrey Matthew. She is coming off the bench, the sophomore out of San Diego, California, as the Aggies have to backtrack just a bit, but now they move their way back upfield. Preble, the pass just over the middle, will roll through and past the outstretched stick of Nika Taglieri, as the Aggies trying to work their way and tie this one up. Just outside the middle of the circle is Gendrella, stolen away by Ohio. Warren back on the move. She spins away from one defender before an infraction is called, so Ohio back in control of it. Just across midfield, Warren coming up. The defenseman does have 4 shots on the season, one of which are on goal.
Wayne Warren really advanced that ball quite a ways.
So in control for Ohio is Claire Bucky out of Powell, Ohio, the sophomore, as she took Olentangy Liberty to the Ohio High School Field Hockey Final Four back in high school, so a proud accomplishment for her. Does have a twin sister as well. This one pushed upfield for Ohio. Brittany Keene pushing with another Aggie. An infraction will be called as we have less than 2 minutes. A $1:30 to go in the first half. Ohio holding on to a 1-0 lead over UC-Davis.
I think you got to be impressed with Ohio's defense so far in this game. Unsung hero so far, Claire Bucky, has really been scrambling over the defensive side so far for the Bobcats.
So ball just near the middle of the field. The pass up from Ohio will roll actually all the way out of bounds. Unable to haul that one in is Emma Spinetto. Just 1 minute, 60 seconds to go in the first half. The UC-Davis Aggies, they'll try to make one final run at things as they work their way all the way behind near their goalie with their defenseman. They push it upfield on the left side. Stolen away, though, by Ohio on the right side of the field across to midfield. The Bobcats trying to tack on one more. Pushing it up for Ohio, as this one is near the right sideline. An excellent cross in, but unfortunately, Shive is unable to grab that one as she hit the deck. Has actually, Corinne Baker, the junior, in search for her 4th goal of the season, 9th career. Just 10 seconds remain on that first half clock. The Aggies in control of it. They try to go all the way downfield. Mishandled. Claire Bucky will grab it for Ohio with just 2 seconds as she sends this one downfield. And that'll do it. The whistles will blow. We have 1 half in the books in Athens with the Bobcats leading the Aggies 1-0. We'll step aside for a short break, and when we come back, we'll break down the first half on Bobcat TV. So it's Ohio 1, UC-Davis 0 as we enter halftime. We'll be right back on Ohio Bobcat TV. Welcome back to Bobcat TV, where it's halftime in Athens at Pruitt Field. Ohio leading the UC-Davis Aggies 1-0 in a non-conference battle. Just to run through some stats so far, Logan, Ohio leading UC-Davis in shots, shot on goal. But I tell you what, big props to Chelsea Bigelow doing an excellent job at goalkeeper for UC-Davis. She's really keeping them in the game, and I think she's been a focal point for this team. 4 saves for that Aggie squad.
And overall, Ohio has got 9 shots off, and obviously 5 of those on goal. But Ohio's done a great job, and obviously that stat shows the aggressiveness that we're talking about. Getting out there, putting a ball out there, even if it means it's not going to go in, just kind of keep the goalie off balance. Bigelow has really been up to the task, though.
She really has in this UC-Davis team. In that first 3 quarters of the first half, we noticed Ohio was in control, in possession, always near the 16-yard circle and almost in scoring possession. But as the half went on, UC-Davis started to find some holes, started to weave their way in, put a little pressure on that Bobcat defense. How can they get more on the offensive side as we move into the second half?
I think it's got to start with their defense. And their defense has been phenomenal so far. Obviously, look at the score on the board. It tells you all you need to know. And the one goal that Ohio had was off a steal and then a score by Jillian Shive. That was an excellent play, and that was early in the game. So I think, for me, it starts in the defensive end. Don't change what's been working, you know? You never want to fix something that's not broken. Their offense, a lot of short passes, moving it upfield slowly as a team is a much better strategy than UC has gone with by launching it up the field and hoping for the best. And, you know, I think also that's also been the downfall of the Aggies. They have gone to Vandenbosch for a lot of their playmaking ability. Been holding on to that ball, and I think it kind of makes the rest of the offense stagnant, whereas Ohio has been moving constantly, so I wouldn't change anything. Play the half like you did the first one, and you can get out of here with a win.
So right now, leading in the shot-taking category for the Bobcats is Claire Bucky. She has 2 so far on the game. Only 1 shot taken so far for the UC-Davis Aggies in Vandenbosch. You just mentioned really their key on offense. So that'll just about wrap up our little breakdown of the first half. Coming up in just about 3 minutes will be the second half at Pruitt Field. Be sure to stay tuned in. It should be an exciting one. Ohio with a narrow 1-0 lead over the UC-Davis Aggies at Pruitt Field. We'll step aside and be right back on Bobcat TV. 35 minutes has been put back on the scoreboard as we're ready for the second half at Pruitt Field in Athens, Ohio. The UC-Davis Aggies trail the home team in the Ohio Bobcats 1-0. The Bobcats trying to improve to 3-4 this season, where if the Aggies, they get a victory, they would move to an even 500 at 5-5 and also get their first road win on the season, where the Bobcats, they have gotten both their wins here at Pruitt Field, where they are currently 2-1, coming off a victory on the 14th against the Appalachian State Mountaineers. And the UC-Davis Aggies, 2 straight losses to Vermont and then Maine, and they have been outscored in those 2 games 10-2, but right now only 1-0. Big, as we mentioned in the halftime, big opponent to that, Chelsea Bigelow, currently sitting second in the all-time saves list
now,
at UC-Davis.
Now, Brad, obviously 1-0 lead for the first half, solid. But the thing I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, can they sustain that for 2 halves? It's kind of been the question all season long. Ohio's done a good job of staying with teams for the first 20 or so minutes before things start to kind of fall off. And at the end of that half, we started to see UC-Davis start to carve up Ohio's defense. So hopefully the good 10-minute break was all they needed to keep going.
As we flip sides, we're ready for our first center pass to start off this half, as the Aggies, they'll be in control, working it kind of in the back, but stolen away already by Ohio and Brittany Keene as this one rolls out of bounds. So the Aggies will start with control. Mentioned the Bobcats, 9 shots taken back in that first half, as the offense was really working for Ohio. Stolen away. This is Corinne Baker. Baker trying to make her way along the baseline, but it is rolled out of bounds as 30 seconds has ticked off. Ohio leading 1-0.
Yeah, Baker and Keene, the tall, lanky forwards for Ohio, have done a great job keeping Ohio constantly on the attack, getting those deflections on the defensive side and pushing it into the attacking zone.
So Ohio and UC-Davis, both teams staying with their same starters that were in the first half as they bring them back out onto the field for the second half. Glad you could tune in today on Bobcat TV. Brad Walker alongside Logan LeDuc, as this is our inaugural stream of the field hockey season so far, as the Bobcats in control of it. Emma Eggleston will pass it in just near the baseline. Thrown into Emma Warren, who tried to find Baker, but Baker cut almost to the left. Warren thought she was cutting the right, so it rolls out of bounds, and UC-Davis will have control.
Little miscommunication there between the two, something we haven't seen all game long from Ohio. They've been very together.
So Ohio still in control, just on the attack side of things. Baker crosses this one over inside the circle, making her way and spinning near the baseline. The shot is blocked. Nice shot by Shive. She does have the only goal of the game. The Bobcats leading 1-0 as this one rolls out of bounds, and UC-Davis yet again with some great defense to stop the Bobcats.
Yeah, trying to attack that low right corner of the goal, but Bigelow, those quick reflexes, able to get her foot out there and deflect it away.
So Ohio now near the baseline, but an excellent poke away by this Aggie defense as they clear it over to the right side. The Bobcats moving left to right offensively. The Aggies going right to left. Sun still shining. Beautiful day in Athens, Ohio. Great day for some field hockey, as the UC-Davis bringing that sunny California weather all the way to southeast Ohio. This one near the baseline is almost hit out, but the Bobcats do retrieve it. But the Aggies, they'll now have it as all the way upfield, but sliding an excellent stop right there. But unfortunately, it rolls back in the way of the Aggies. A 2-on-1 break. Number 22, Brooke Sanchez, has it just inside the right side of the circle, spins her way. Her shot is blocked, and the Bobcats look to clear it out. Coming all the way in is the midfielder, Ashley Wilbur. The freshman doing a nice job of retreating it out for Ohio.
Nearly a disastrous play there for Ohio, trying to gamble on the defensive side. Nearly led to a 2-on-1 breakaway, but are fortunate enough to get back, and hopefully, and also fortunate that, of course, that Sanchez ended up fumbling the ball a little bit.
So the Aggies, much like they ended that first half, coming out quite aggressive in the second half so far, as we have 31 minutes and 30 seconds to go in this second half, with Ohio leading 1-0. In control, Audrey Matthew, the sophomore from San Diego, California. She started the first 7 games for Ohio. The transfer from Syracuse. The Bobcats have it, now trying to have a defensive stop. They do. They clear it all the way upfield. In control for the Bobcats. They're on the move. Brittany Keene along the left side, just outside the circle, gets it stolen away by Kelly Kramer. Excellent defensive stop there as she tied for 5th last year in the league with two defensive saves. So the Aggies, yet again, trying to work their way back into attacking position, but the Bobcats are definitely on the prowl, much like they were for the most part of that first half. But UC-Davis back in control. Shot count is 10-3, advantage Ohio in that category as the Aggies backtracking a little bit, but stolen away by Emma Eggleston. She works away just outside of the circle before UC-Davis will get it again, and an infraction called, so Ohio back on the route, rack on the run. Ohio pitching this one back out to Warren, just outside the circle on the right side. She'll shoot on the left side, just wide, as it was a great defensive stop yet again for this UC-Davis defense. If they can bring some of that defensive morale back on the offensive end, Logan, this could add into some goals and maybe make this one a little more interesting than we've seen so far. Interesting in the fact that it would tie the game back up, I should say.
And Audrey Matthew, the defender there for the Aggies, did a good job of getting in the way of Warren. Kind of, if Warren was maybe a second earlier, she would have had a more clear shot, but a great job by Matthew to get in the way and disrupt any kind of angle.
So the Bobcats with this game today, now playing over half their games at Pruitt Field at home. Coming in, they played half of them, and now this is the 4th home game as they try to make it 3-1 on the season at home. It is a non-conference battle, so unfortunately their 1-0 record in the MAC cannot be improved or taken away. But on the move are the Aggies. They move this way just inside the circle. On the run was Elena Vandenbosch from the Sneek Netherlands. As we mentioned last year, was the Eastern Conference Rookie of the Week for August 28th so far this season. The freshman, a big part of this UC-Davis offense with 3 goals and also 2 assists.
And if she had looked, she had Sanchez on her left breaking away for the goal, but couldn't keep her head up as she was dribbling through the Ohio defense.
As she has now taken 23 shots on the season. Even more impressive to that is 13 have been on goal. This one will roll along the right side of the baseline as I believe the Bobcats will be back in possession. Rather, the Aggies will have control of it just outside the circle. The Aggies wearing the all-blue uniforms. The Bobcats in the home whites with the green skirts. As this one just inside the circle, definitely some contact being made, as it will be a corner now for the UC-Davis Aggies. That is their first penalty corner of the game.
Yeah, Ohio has the 4-1 advantage there, and that speaks once again to the aggressiveness, getting yourself in positions to have the referees make that call for you.
So UC-Davis trying to get their first goal on the board as they trail 1-0 with 27:50 to go in the second half. Also looking for their first road win of the season. And to hit this corner in is Milau Korthauer, the freshman from the Netherlands. She hits this one at the top of the circle, passed over to the left side. Bit of a high shot by Kelly Kramer, but it rolls out beyond the baseline. The Bobcats do get a stop for now, but the Aggies will stay in possession with Elena Vandenbosch. Vandenbosch does lead the team in shots, but stolen away by Ohio. Ashley Wilbur now on the move near midfield. The Aggies trying to take this one right back, and they do. Audrey Matthew, the sophomore, doing an excellent job. As moving her way in the midfield is Emily Chen, the sophomore, out of Saratoga, California. As this one rolls out of bounds, the Aggies will stay in possession, and it's almost a flip 180 to what we saw in the first half. Now the Aggies bringing it in the second half on the offensive side of things.
Yes, certainly, but they haven't been able to really get in position to score. Ohio's kind of had a good last line of defense right before the goal, and honestly, Pennington has done a great job staying on every ball. Even if there's a shot that's obviously wide of the mark, she's still staying on it till it's officially gone. And that just speaks to Ohio's mature nature the last couple of games, starting to figure out how to value each possession.
So Warren mishandles that pass to Taylor Hansen, and now the Aggies controlling it. Eggleston does a nice job clearing it, but right and back to the Aggies. They move their way into some attack position. The defensemen coming up for UC-Davis. They are definitely on the attack, trying to tie this one up. Inside the circle, the ball does fly, but hit out by Alex Pennington. Just barely, though, retrieved by UC-Davis. A lot of bodies hitting the ground, and the Bobcats will end up getting possession. Another threatening possession for UC-Davis, as they now have worked that shot total up to 4. The Bobcats still leading that category 11-4. But 3 have been on goal so far for UC-Davis. So UC-Davis, who got off to a 2-0 start this season, was the first time since 2012 they had done so, as the Bobcats now trying to possibly increase their lead. Baker with the excellent hustle near the baseline keeps this one in play. She's looking to cross this one in as she tries to move through 2 defenders, and an infraction called. What hustle by the junior, Corinne Baker.
Well, Baker wasn't running on the track that surrounds Pruitt Field, but she might as well have been. I mean, really a full-out dash to that ball.
As Ohio with Taylor Hansen at the helm, hands it off to Eggleston, who makes her way just inside the circle near the baseline. This shot is blocked as Eggleston trying to dive to keep the possession alive for Ohio, but it does roll out of bounds. But the Bobcats will stay with the possession. Warren, the defenseman, comes up, tries to get this one, but it's stolen away. Now the Aggies working their way upfield. They do not have numbers, but they're still pushing. Ohio does get the steal as an infraction is called, so the UC-Davis Aggies will stay in control of it. 24 minutes, 20 seconds go in the second half. It's Ohio 1, UC-Davis 0. Ohio looking to make it 2-0 and 3-1 at home, and also make a season series 1-1, trying to avenge a loss to the first time these two teams met back in 2016. Game actually in Athens, but UC-Davis was the victor 3-0. Just a 9-year program for the UC-Davis, as they have yet to have a winning season. So far, not too bad, 4-5. So they're definitely on the up route, especially with that young core of 17 underclassmen out of 24 total on the team. They can get some wins together. This could be a program to look out for throughout the next few years. As the Aggies just inside the circle trying to make things happen. One was poked out, but we'll see yet another penalty corner for the UC-Davis Aggies. Their second so far on the game. And I tell you what, must be something about that left side of the field, because a lot of offense coming that way. Ohio in the first half, and for the most part, UC-Davis a lot in the second half with just 12 minutes going by.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There might be a weak spot over there on the left side, because they're both attacking that exact area and really generating a lot of their offense from that spot.
So the corner will be taken by Madison Theodore. She'll hit this one in from the baseline. The 4 defenders, along with the Bobcat goalie, are at the net. This one taken in. Ball bouncing around just like a pinball, but Ohio, they have possession. Clearing it out is Warren all the way upfield, near the midfield line along the left side.
I can't speak enough to the job that Claire Bucky and Warren have done so far for Ohio on the defensive side, really making Pennington's job fairly easy in the goal spot.
So Taylor Hansen, the one trying to make things happen near the midfield line for Ohio. As this pass just out of the reach for Emma Eggleston, the senior out of Houston, Texas. Bringing up that southern charm to Southeast Ohio. 22 minutes remain in the second half between Ohio and UC-Davis. Bobcats currently leading 1-0. But the Aggies on the move, taken away by the defenseman for Ohio. They move along the left side of the field, along the sideline, pushing it up just out of arm's reach for Brittany Keene. Now upfield with the Aggies. In control of it is Carly Collier, as she gets it taken away. Now the Bobcats push upfield. A one-on-one ball. Trying to attack for the Bobcats is Sydney Super. She won't be able to get to it before Kelly Kramer does, as now UC-Davis playing back. Super trying to get the steal, but she'll be called for an infraction with the contact. As now the Aggies trying to work their way upfield. Running this one down is Sienna Dwyer, the freshman, as she tries to make her way on the left side of the sideline. As this one is thrown out off the Aggies. Bobcats with control. Bobcats now 9 goals on the season as they've taken 12 shots in this game. 6 of them have been on goal, so sitting at a perfect 500 shots on goal percentage.
Hard to believe that goal took place during this game in the first couple of minutes by Jillian Shive. It's just been a stalemate ever since.
A high stick call on the Bobcats gives the Aggies possession. They're on the near side of the field. In control is Madison Theodore, the sophomore. She started now the past 6 games for the Aggies as this one trails out of the baseline, hitting off the net behind it. Aggies will stay in control, trying to tie this one up at 1 with 20 minutes to go in the second half. This one tossed over to the left side, a quick pass, but Audrey Matthew cannot reach out and grab it with her stick. Matthew with 1 goal last year in her freshman season at Syracuse. As she has racked up 519 minutes so far on the season coming into today with the Aggies. Along that left corner baseline and sideline is Shannon Wong. She gets it taken away by the sophomore defenseman Leah Warren out of New Zealand. So pushing this one up and out of bounds will give UC-Davis the ball back. Ohio trying to take more of a defensive approach, whereas the Aggies, they're taking advantage and really being aggressive on offense, much like the Bobcats were in the first half. Warren retrieves it for Ohio, as the Aggies will be called for an infraction back in possession of Ohio. Taken away is number 15, Audrey Matthew, the Syracuse transfer. She tosses it back, and now a cross-field pass all the way over to Isabella Porco. You mentioned Chelsea Bigelow, the UC-Davis goalkeeper, hard at work in that first half. Well, Alex Pennington just doing as much work so far in the second half for Ohio, keeping the Aggies off the score column, as Ohio still with the 1-0 advantage with 18 minutes and 40 seconds in the second half. At the helm for Ohio, Allie Johnson, we mentioned her first year as a head coach, but it's her 9th year overall coaching-wise, as she has spent time with the Bobcats prior, was actually on that last MAC winning team back in 2011 as an assistant coach. As this one rolls out, now the Bobcats have a chance to start their attack. Controlling it for Ohio is Meave Gordon, the sophomore out of West Milford, New Jersey, coming off the bench. She did not play in the first match against LaSalle, but has played now in every match since, as she is also a transfer from Siena, where she played 14 matches. So both teams with a couple of new faces from last year transfer-wise. Obviously, both teams bring a plethora of freshmen to the table. So Ohio, who has been without Kendall Ballard for most of the year, the senior, she's yet to play this season because of undisclosed reasons. Ballard won the MAC Commissioner's Award last season, as she has 21 goals so far in her career. Was also MAC first team back in 2016. This ball moving all the way near the baseline of the Aggies. They'll have to get this one out. They do clear it quite nicely. That was Vandenbosch doing the hustling. But now Ohio just outside the circle, work their way in with Shive. She tries to get a shot off, can't get it. Trying to fight for it back. Eggleston with the tap into Shive, as we'll see an infraction called. And the Aggies taking back over just inside near their net.
You know, Kelly Kramer has been a thorn in the side of the Ohio offense so far. She's not afraid to get her body into anybody and make some nice deflections and hold off this Ohio offense. She's done a good job.
So Ohio scored early in this game, but ever since we've been pretty much at a stalemate. That goal just came 1 minute and 13 seconds into the match with Jillian Shive, her 4th goal of the season. But since then, have not seen any scoring by either team.
And Ohio's no stranger to these 1-goal games and these low-scoring games overall. Obviously, you can put aside the couple of blowouts that they took to Liberty and Stanford, but other than that, St. Louis is a low-scoring game. The Monmouth and LaSalle games tend to be pretty low-scoring, and obviously the 1-0 win against App State tells you all you need to know.
And that App State huge first win within the MAC with definitely a big confidence booster after 2 tough losses against good teams for this field hockey team in Athens. But anytime you can get a W in the win column, no matter how it looks, it's going to feel good in that post locker room. But the Aggies, they're on the attack, trying to take the shot. Was Gingerella. It's deflected. A nice defensive save for the Bobcats. This one rolls out of the baseline. As we'll see yet another penalty corner for the UC-Davis Aggies. So Alex Pennington, the senior goalkeeper, going to be put at work from Easton, Pennsylvania. She had 4 saves in the last game against Appalachian State. Already make that 5 saves this game.
And make this the 3rd corner of the half for UC-Davis. Had none in the first half, while Ohio was able to grab 4 opportunities.
15 minutes to go in the first half. UC-Davis trying to tie this one up. Moving in inside the circle, a high shot. Nice stop by Pennington. Bounces back out. The Bobcat defense trying to clear it, but the Aggies doing a nice job of handling it. Still on their side of the pitch.
And that's a great save there from Alex Pennington.
Pennington really stepping up big this game, especially this half. Last year had 77 saves, came into this one with 9 already, with 15 now, as she has had 6 in this game. Pennington, this is only her 3rd start of the season, but in the majority of time she has spent containing the net, she is 1-1. So along the right sideline, the Aggies bringing it up, trying to bring it back into attacking position. Gingerella tries to laser pass this one in. It's deflected back to her, so now she'll go on the right side. Ball bouncing around just wide of the net. So the Bobcats will grab control of it with 14 minutes to go in the second half. So now that penalty corner total just at 4-3. My partner mentioned 3 in this half alone for UC-Davis, as they did not have any in that first half. So this one rolling near the midfield line, spinning around is Vandenbosch, trying to make something happen for the Aggies as she is near the baseline. Passes it just inside in the heart of that defense. It'll be just stopped. Another great save by Alex Pennington.
Yeah, they're knocking on the door, but Ohio not letting him through right now. They've had plenty of opportunities very close to that net. Pennington's done a good job, but she's also had plenty of reinforcements right around that net with her.
So trying to take this one away, and does successfully. Brooke Sanchez works her way on the left side of the circle as it'll roll out of bounds, and Ohio will grab possession. Ohio trying to make it 2 wins in a row, trying to pull closer to that 500 record as they currently sit 2-4, where the UC-Davis Aggies with a win would move themselves to 500 as they currently sit 4-5, but also give them their first win away from home this season. Not necessarily away from home, as they've played plenty of neutral matches so far this year, but first at a true road game setting. The Aggies making it from the back up, but Emma Eggleston from behind, excellent hustle to give the Bobcats back the possession. The senior really showing some poise, trying to spark up something for Ohio, but unfortunately the Aggies will gather it right back. Great hustle right there by Eggleston. The senior knows what it takes to get a win, as she has trying to will her way to help out the Bobcats.
Well, that's kind of been the key today. The hustle of Ohio has really played dividends.
As they work this way just outside the circle, but the Aggies, some excellent defense, just like we saw in the first half, bringing it right along after the halftime break. So coming up from the back, the Bobcats push this one up. Baker in control. Fortunately can't get a stick on it, so the defenseman Kelly Kramer, the redshirt senior, will grab it. As Kramer, although she is a defenseman, did have a goal in the first game against Temple, where the Aggies went on to win that game 3-2. As they push up now just inside the left side, near side I should mention, of the circle, kick it back track. This one will fly out of bounds in possession of Ohio. Yet again, another threatening possession for the Aggies.
Yeah, and you kind of get the sense that, like, it's one of these times they're gonna break through and even up this game, but Ohio has just been right there all game long.
So Ohio, I mentioned the only goal coming for Jillian Shive, as she did tie for the team lead in goals and was second on points last season. Also leading the team in shots, so not surprising that they go to her when near the goal, as she is a transfer from Louisville this season, as she played 18 matches for the Cardinals. So making her way back up to original home state of Ohio, as she originates from Lebanon, Ohio. 10 minutes and 25 seconds remain on that first half clock. Ohio leading the UC-Davis Aggies 1-0. This one controlled by UC-Davis, but stopped by Ohio. An infraction called, so Ohio will re-grab things. And I tell you what, would have to imagine a bit of nervousness right now from Allie Johnstone, the head coach for Ohio, because UC-Davis, they have been just attacking since the second half started.
Yeah, Allie Johnstone's players aren't getting a break out there. I mean, they're constantly on their toes, constantly on the defensive side, and that's the exact opposite of what we saw in the first half. But again, like, every time that they're coming down, they seem that they're dead in the water, and then all of a sudden they get a burst of energy and poke the ball away or poke it free and away, and, you know, they've done a great job.
So we have a timeout on the field. With this timeout, we'd like to thank our wonderful cameraman doing the work on top of the press box, Nolan Walker, doing a great job up there following the ball and giving you guys a nice crisp picture here on Bobcat TV. So with the timeout, we'll take a break as well, with the Bobcats leading the Aggies 1-0 with 9 minutes and 32 seconds to go in the second half. Keep it here on Ohio Bobcat TV. .9:32 remains on the second half clock, with Ohio leading the UC-Davis Aggies 1-0. The Aggies have been on the attack a lot in this second half, but unfortunately haven't been able to get one past Alex Pennington, where Ohio, they're still going to try to find their groove on the offensive things to try to bring this one out just a little bit. Ohio looking for their second win in a row, in the UC-Davis Aggies trying to end a 2-game losing streak and get their first win on the road. We're ready to resume play coming off the timeout between Ohio and UC-Davis. Beautiful day here in Athens, Ohio. And glad to have you covered on Ohio Bobcat TV. So the Bobcats starting within possession. And I tell you what, Logan, what is going to be the key for either team to possibly pull away for a victory with just 9 minutes to go in the second half?
Well, I have to believe if Ohio's able to break through, maybe put one more score on the board, that could end up going a long way in deciding a victory here. But obviously UC-Davis has plenty of opportunity here, plenty of time as well with 9 minutes. They've been able to work it ahead right where they want to be, but just can't complete the play. So I think for both teams it's going to be about finishing the play. You can't just get into position to score. You got to really bring it together and put it home.
So back in possession are the Aggies after the Bobcats hit one out. Bobcats trying to get a stop, but yet again poke it out. The shot column, but UC-Davis of Ohio.
And Brad, it's obvious that there's also a lot of fatigue settling in, so you also got to, I think that's the other key, is you have to battle through that for 8.5 more minutes.
A lot of nitty-gritty left. Allie Johnston and Britt Brody, the two coaches in this one, trying to will their team to victory, helping victorious. So the Bobcats in control of it in the back half near the far side. Work their way along the sideline, now bring it towards the middle of the field. Corinne Baker is there just outside of the circle. She goes between the legs of a defender trying to cross it, but as the Aggies grab the ball yet again, they try to cross court heading upfield, but it was too far behind the sophomore Emily Chen. So Ohio will have it. Leah Warren pokes this one upfield to Taylor Hansen. Taken away by Emily Chen, the sophomore midfielder, as last season she finished co-leading the team in points and goals. So across midfield, brings it up, is Elena Vondenbosch. She hits it ahead to Shannon Wong. Wong, the freshman outside the circle, trying to hit this one in, but just poked out by Ohio as they try to make a run of their own with just that slight 1-0 lead, 7 minutes to go in the second half. If you're just joining us, the first goal scored of the game came back in that first minute for Ohio. Jillian Shive was the one to put it in the net for the Bobcats. And ever since then, that has been the only goal so far of the game. But the UC-Davis Aggies have been on attack of the second half, whereas the Bobcats, who were on the attack in the first half, so we've sort of flipped sides. Luckily for the Bobcats, they're not on the attack. At least they're playing with that 1-0 lead.
Yeah, they're certainly playing that 1-0 lead, and they're playing with a great edge on the defensive side. In fact, it almost seems like they're kind of half playing on the offensive side and focusing a lot of their energy on that defense. And boy, that ball went out of bounds by an Aggie there, but they're getting the ball back.
So this one hit upfield. Nice defensive stop by Ohio as they'll try to grab this one. Baker, unfortunately, hits this one out. 6 minutes to go in the second half. The Aggies trying to tie this game up at 1. Trying to improve to 500 on the season. Trying to score their third goal in 3 games, as they've only scored 2 in the past 3, as they are on that 2-game losing skid. So the Aggies working along the near sideline. Number 24, Sarah Janetsky out of Escondido, California, has it taken away.
And this is a UC-Davis team that actually played the number 4 team in the nation at the time, Maryland. So they've certainly seen some opponents that could probably help them as season goes on. Ohio, obviously, nothing like a Maryland team that you'll see, but a good team that is scrappy and has certainly been a little more hungry than the Aggies so far in this game.
And going back to Sarah Janetsky, the redshirt sophomore, carried a 4.4 GPA in high school. So definitely a whiz kid out there on the field for this Aggie team. So not only smart on the field, but also smart off the field, which is ever so vital in being a student athlete. Less than 5 minutes, Ohio still nursing that 1-0 lead over UC-Davis in this non-conference battle, but the Aggies making their way within the circle as we have a whistle blown. And it looks like we could have another corner for the Aggies, and we will. So the Aggies, this will be their fourth corner of the game. That ties Ohio with 4. So Ohio with 4 back in the first half, and now the Aggies with 4 in the second.
This is a dangerous time for the Bobcats. They need one more stop here. It's going to be an excellent opportunity for the Aggies.
Time winding down. The Aggies trying to take advantage of a big opportunity. Court Hauer will hit this corner in. She hits it up to the middle of the pitch. This passed over. The shot is defended by Pennington. A lot of sticks in. And Emma Eggleston clears it out for Ohio. But right before it goes out, hustling it down was Taylor Hansen. That's huge because the Bobcats will stay in possession. It does get deflected off an Aggie, so Ohio will stay in control of it with Leah Warren. Clock is at 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Both teams fighting for a big win in non-conference play. This one hit ahead to Hansen. She can't control it, and the Aggies will have it in attacking position. Theodore, the cross pass all the way over is mishandled by Taglieri, but UC-Davis gets it one again. The back pass is moved up by the defenseman of UC-Davis, kicking it along the far sideline. Making her way past one defender, now pushing it in, trying to find Vondenbosch, but she gets it poked out. Now Ohio just trying to clear it, stay on the offensive end with 3 minutes to go in the second half.
Yeah, keep that ball on the right side of the field, and you're going to get out of here with a win. Constant pressure from Ohio. But you can see they definitely have a lot more people to back up instead. They're not really bringing the offense on the right side, trying to really focus on the left side of the field, that defensive side.
An almost big steal by Taylor Hansen. She tried to control it on the near sideline, but unfortunately couldn't haul it in. The transfer from Waiufu College, who did have the assist on that only goal against App State. As we have the slight pause, we'll see a new goalie come into the game. Isabella Porco, the freshman back, will throw on the pads and head the net, as that could be a big blow. Chelsea Bigelow, who led the American East Conference last year in saves with 148 in saves per game with 8.22, will come out. She's been a huge part of the defense for the UC-Davis Aggies. She'll head back to the bench. So the UC-Davis Aggies trying to come out on the attack will take the goalie out, bringing in another skill player. 2 minutes and 20 seconds to really see that strategy late in games, trying to get that quick goal to tie things up, possibly even put together two to win the game.
Oh, yeah, definitely desperate times call for desperate measures, and Ohio can't score unless they're inside the circle, of course, on the offensive side of the field. So this is a good move here for UC-Davis. If they can keep the ball and threaten on the left side, they're going to give themselves a great chance to tie up the game.
So UC-Davis, with most of their women on the offensive side of the field, do have one near the midfield line in case things go awry, as they are attacking on the near sideline. Pushing it up, getting this pass is Madison Theodore along the left baseline near the circle. The shot in is stopped by the Bobcats. They clear it out, and they will still hold on so slightly to that 1-0 lead. 1:40 to go in the second half. Both teams fighting for a win. Bobcats trying to make it a 1-1 season series, where the Aggies are trying to make it 2-0 against the Bobcats and end a 2-game losing streak. Ooh. This shot well outside the circle, trying to get the deflection, was Nicola Preble, but it flies over the net and out of bounds. So the Bobcats back in possession. As we mentioned, no goalie at net for the Aggies. It's going to be crucial that they don't allow the Bobcats to get anywhere near that, as they'll hold it near their own corner. Leah Warren controlling it. 60 seconds to play in the second half. The Bobcats trying to hold on for a win over the Aggies. Aggies trying to make it 500 on the season. The Bobcats looking for their third win, not only on the season, but also at home. Warren working near the near sideline, fighting with another Aggie opponent. An infraction is called, and Ohio with possession. 45 ticks to go. Ohio 1, UC-Davis 0. Near the midfield line, this one is poked away by Sarah Janetsky. Janetsky gets it stolen away by Eggleston, now in control of Carrie Ann Baker near the near sideline. She just sends it on its way near the baseline. It'll roll out of bounds, but that'll definitely wear off some clock for Ohio. Just 20 seconds for Ohio to try to get their third win of the season and first in history against the UC-Davis Aggies, trying to avenge that 3-0 loss that came back in 2016 here at Pruitt Field. Moving it up the field is Taylor Hansen, just inside the circle. She passes it over. This shot is well over the net and out of play with just 5 seconds to go in the second half. Bobcat faithful rises up from the stands, and the final whistle is blown, and the Bobcats see green and white, says the scoreboard. Ohio 1, UC-Davis 0 at the end of the conclusion of the second half. With this win, the Bobcats move to 3-4 on the season. The UC-Davis Aggies, with their third straight loss in a row, will fall to 4-6. We'll step aside for a short break, come back and break down today's action on Bobcat TV. So keep it here as we recap Ohio's win 1-0 over UC-Davis. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Ohio Bobcat TV, where the Ohio Bobcats are victorious today over the UC-Davis Aggies 1-0. Logan, we saw a goal early, thought Ohio maybe were going to go on the offensive side this whole game. First goal coming in the first minute by Jillian Shive, but then it just turned into a defensive drag-out battle for the rest of the game. We saw Ohio really attacking for the most part in the first half. In the second half, it was UC-Davis who was really in on the action. Your final goal total, Ohio leading that 13-10. Penalty corners, UC-Davis with 4 in the second half. Ohio had 4 in the first half, so they stayed tied in that category. But saves was the biggest reason. Ohio with 7, UC-Davis with 5. So a real drag-out battle, big win for the Bobcats.
Well, and you mentioned how the score comes early in that game, and it seemed like the floodgates were going to open, and then all of a sudden a drought comes through. And I think a lot of that has to do with the scrambling defense of the Ohio Bobcats. They did an excellent job constantly staying on their toes. Good reads, good reflexes. I mean, really just like constantly on the attack, getting it up and getting in the offensive end. I thought they just did a great job of turning defense into offense constantly today, and it's a solid win for Ohio team that's really starting to come together in this early season.
So that'll just about wrap up our live post-game coverage. We will have your post-game recap on Ohio Bobcats TV, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Follow us on social media. Stay on the YouTube channel, as it'll be on there as well. Ohio, a 1-0 victory over the UC-Davis Aggies improves them to 3-4 on the season. The Aggies drop to 4-6. So for the final time in Southeast Ohio, the Bobcats get the win 1-0 over the UC-Davis Aggies. For Logan Leduc, this is Brad Walker, and as always, it's been a pleasure.